Welcome to Unapologetically Black Bear, where we talk about surviving the stigmas, standards, and system. Once again, this podcast is meant to highlight the stories of African American men and their and how they achieved their success, and also overcoming the different things that they had to overcome in their life to reach what they define as success in their life. Once again, I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Brother E.J. Stewart, our sponsor, J. Pope and Associates, for kind of helping us put this together. Once again, if you are in need of any therapeutic mental health services, please reach out to J. Pope and Associates. Listen, we have a special guest on today, Brother Omarr Smith, and I'm going to give him the floor to kind of introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself, so that we can, kind of learn about him and his success and all that he's been through.
Good evening, man. Thanks, Dwayne and EJ, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on. Don't take this opportunity for granted, because anytime I can get to share, just my experience and how I grew up, and hopefully it can reach someone. I'm going to do similar steps and try to help them out along the way. So opportunity is definitely appreciated. As for me, man, I'm 42 years old. I grew up in the heart of East Baltimore, Bel Air, Addison area, Milton and Preston, Miami Street, what I like to call the heart of East Baltimore, where it's a lot of distractions, a lot of things that can make you go left when you need to be going right. I'm currently a special ed paraprofessional in the Baltimore City Public School System. I've been doing that for this is my 12th year. I'm also the head basketball coach at Baltimore City College High School. This is my 5th year as the varsity coach, and I coached the JV team for 7 years. Prior to that, I graduated from Bowie State University in 2003. Shortly after I graduated, I pursued a professional basketball career overseas in Germany, which I did for 6 years. And to talk about my childhood growing up, like I said, man, growing up in East Baltimore was kind of tough. Basketball was really my outlet. Between that, having a strong mom, and she had 5 siblings, so that kept me close. So I pretty much had a good village and a good foundation of people who stayed on me, along with a lot of mentors, basketball coaches, just a lot of people that stuck by me and was always in my ear, supported me, and it goes back to, like, people say it takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of cliche, but that's really what got me through. My dad was incarcerated from the time I want to say my 7th grade year, and he didn't get out until my senior year in college. And even through, even though he was incarcerated, I visited him, we talked, he called. He communicated with me through guys that was incarcerated with him that got out of jail. He wrote the newspaper when I was in high school. We actually had an article in the paper where the reporter called my high school and asked to interview me over the phone, and asked that and the letter that my dad wrote him and shared it in the newspaper, asked him, did we mind if he published it? So, again, man, like I said, a lot of distractions, growing up in East Baltimore. But back then, the guys that, that we call big homies that may have not been doing right or doing whatever they had to do to survive to get by, they looked out for kids. They told us, no, you don't need to be around here. Get off the corner, go to school, do what you're supposed to do. And then they looked out for it. And it just doesn't seem the same, nowadays. It seems like that the older guys or the guys that are doing those things are inviting the younger guys and, welcoming them into that lane when they know it's really no good ending to it. So, with me, man, it's just, for me, working in the school system and coaching is just a way for me to connect to the youth, and I see it as my way of giving back. It's something that I always wanted to do when I finished my career playing basketball, and so I just feel like it's it's mandatory that I do it because so many people did it for me. So I look at it as my way of giving back.
Got you. That's awesome. Just to touch a little bit about like the dealing with your dad being incarcerated and just kind of, I know you said you had your village, but like how were you able to kind of process through that, like emotionally, and just kind of not having him there, just kind of talk a little bit about that, and like what helped you kind of keep pressing on despite not having him like physically there, even though he found ways to communicate to you.
Right. The connection we had when my dad put the ball in my hand,
Got you.
basketball wise. Very intelligent guy, man. If you didn't know he was incarcerated before you talked to him, you would never know.
Mm.
So he always poured into me. But I tell him all the time, that void, can't be filled. Them years
Mm.
you can't get back. That hurt. I mean, there's no way around that. There's no sugarcoating and no denying it. What fueled me, what got me by though, I made a promise to myself that when I had my own,
Mm-hmm.
that I would be there. So in his faults, he actually taught me one of my biggest lessons of all. Nothing replaces time.
Mm.
So when I had my own, I made a promise to myself to be there every step of the way. And like I said, I got that lesson in fault from my dad. So, and that's actually why I ended my basketball career. When I had my first son on the way, I continued to pursue maybe for about another year,
Mm.
but not being there physically for him,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of it told me that it was time to give it up. Even though I could have physically, continued my career, but mentally, I wasn't there. So that
So,
was that was a big lesson for me, and with my dad, it helped me along the way.
talk about for me, the athletics of everything. Talk about the transition that you had, going from high school to what the college experience was like, and how you're pouring into these young guys that you're coaching now about that experience.
Well, the main thing I've learned through mentors and coaches that I've had is it's bigger than basketball, and that's cliche too. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, then
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. It's about relationships, and for me, um, I've coached on teams where I've won championships. I've had teams that weren't good. I've had some coached some of the best players, but for me, when kids graduate and they leave years, years later, and they still contact you, they still call you about certain things, or you still have a rapport with them some type of way,
Mm-hmm.
all because that foundation was built on you coaching them with basketball or coaching them whatever sport you coach. Um, and I have a great relationship with my high school coach and my college coach still. And again, it was built on, like I said, I was taught that it was built on relationships. So in my coaching career, I've tried to stick to that principle. The wins and losses come, the championships come and go.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stay connected to those kids and to those young men, and then they become men, and that's my biggest thing. You got to realize that we're helping raise young men, and
Mm-hmm.
at some point they're gonna not follow what you say, but follow what they see you do. So
Mm-hmm.
you just try to keep that in mind. And none of us are perfect, but they get that part too, and they understand that it's okay to make mistakes, but you try to do more so good than bad, and
Mm-hmm.
figure it out along the way. And so for me, man, that's the blessing in it for me. That's the good part. That's what keep me going, help keep me fueled and motivated. And I got two boys of my own,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, it's a way to stay grounded, stay connected, um, stay level headed, and appreciate what you have and not take things for granted.
Indeed. How difficult has it been with this generation of social media and everything going on to, keep these guys on the court and just understanding the life principles you're trying to get into them? How difficult has it been for you?
It's been difficult, but I think like everything, it comes with change. The first step is you gotta somewhat accept it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't force them to grow up in the era we grew up in. It's not the same. It's a difference. So just what works for me is to try to meet them halfway. I try to explain to them, look, it was different when I came up. We did this, we did that, but I get it. It's a different avenue for y'all. But I tell them straight up, like y'all gonna have to meet me halfway. But some of the things, some of the rules don't change. You put out what you get in.
Mm-hmm.
You work hard, you're gonna see results. The hard work always gonna show. And then I just try to tell them, have fun, be connected. It's a brotherhood, it's a family, because that goes beyond just basketball. That teaches them how to work with other people. It's the same thing in the work field, how to be on time, be diligent, be disciplined. Um, it's sometimes it's a little bit harder than it should be, but like again, like if you're in it for the right reasons, that's what you do it for. So it comes with a price, but again, so many people did it for me, man. It's countless people I can name um, that poured into me, man. That really, sometimes you don't get it till years later.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody said to you or constantly said to you resonates with you, and it takes for you to be in a moment like, damn, like that's what they meant. Like that's what that was about. Now I get it. So you just got to keep those things in mind, man. I think that's what kind of keeps me motivated and keeps me going to do what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Now you talked about you went to Bowie State, correct? That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that experience going from high school to kind of HBCU, and then kind of matriculating onto
Oh
playing
man,
overseas?
that was. I tell people, man, I know we wish that we could live certain parts of our life over. That would be it. That whole experience, man, that whole college experience at Bowie was great. I mean everything about it, from the coach we had to the my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
um, to the staff, the student body. It was just like it was love all the way around the board. We were successful on the court. We pretty much turned the basketball team around during those years that we were there.
Mm-hmm.
And the support was unreal. Um, we were really successful. A lot of guys on my team went on to play some sort of professional ball, semi-pro or overseas. It was fun. It was a good ride. But like I said, even the atmosphere, just the awe on the campus every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just, it was so down to earth and so like home. It was far enough away from home, but close enough to home at the same time. So great experience, man. If I could do that over again, I definitely would.
Gotcha. Now was Bowie your first choice?
Well, so when I graduated from City, um, I went to junior college at Catonsville.
Okay.
I played my first year at Catonsville, and the coach I had at Catonsville a year later took the job at Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave scholarships to maybe 4 or 5 guys. Once he got to Bowie, so it was he always did right by us. Again, he was a great coach, mentor. Went out of his way on and off the court for us. So
Mm-hmm.
the connection, the relationship was there. So when he offered to give us scholarship, and we was already familiar with him and played for him, it was like a no-brainer, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how that came about. And again, we had a lot of success. It's funny you say that, because I talked to him. I talked to my college coach maybe 2 days ago. I talked to my high school coach often.
Mm-hmm.
And again, man, it just reminds me and that's where I really got it from my high school coach, Daryl Wade, the son of Bball Wade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a coach, a mentor. Now he's a great friend of mine, still a mentor. He's still coaching me, even when I'm coaching, he coaches me. But so much growth and so much history there, man. But he we have talks, great talks. Sometimes he called me, we talk for 2-3 minutes. Sometimes he called me, we talk for 45 minutes. But just to understand, and he really drilled that in me. It's about the relationships, and I never forgot that. So I try to maintain that with my players, current players, former players, as much as possible, because I know it means a lot. You know, it might not seem like it, but those small things mean a lot. So I just try to keep that in mind.
So many people don't realize how important, you know, sports is to any child or any youth, but especially a young black male, and that relationship that they have with their coaches and teammates. And, you know, a lot of people today kind of say, well, don't tell them to play sports and tell them to do something else. You know, I know for me, it was everything. You know, what do you say to those people that are kind of knocking black folks for pushing their sons and et cetera into sports and things like that?
Well, honestly, yeah, I think the problem with it now versus when we came up is that everybody wants their child to be good. Everybody expecting to go pro, and you setting the kids up for, I don't want to say failure, but that's what you're setting them up for. Let them have some fun. Let them go through some adversity. That you guys know, like I know, that builds character. Your son can't be good every game and play. If that, we all want to see our kids do good, but we didn't always do good. We were faced with some. Let them fall down. See how they respond. Let them get back up. 'Cause life's not going to be easy on them. And I think that's the biggest issue now with the let your son play sports. Don't let him, make him do something different. It's okay to be different. Who said you can't play sports and play the piano? Who said you can't? And whatever talent that I see within my child, I'm going to let them pursue it. You know, I preach to mine all the time, man. Be yourself. Now, my oldest chases basketball like I did. He's a different player than I was, though. So I let him fall in his lane. My youngest doesn't want to play basketball. He picks up the ball sometimes when he wants, but I don't force that on him. So, you know, man, you got to be a parent to your kids. You got to know your child, let them be their own individual, and preach that to them, that it's okay to be that, and not over parent, so to speak. You know, they got to come into their own at some point in time. And you know, I tell my oldest all the time, it's not your mother's life, it's not my life. It's yours. Like, the decisions you make, you're gonna have to live with. So, you know, I'm here to support you, and have your back in whatever you do. But ultimately, that's your life to live. So, you know, to those parents that, I said it's okay. It's definitely great to get kids to do other things that, you know, besides sports, but. You know, sports can't hurt. It teaches teamwork. It helps build character. It's so many lessons. There's so many life lessons connected with sports. Whether your child is the best player, the worst player, or the in-between player, it's still a lot of lessons to be learned playing on any sports team. And that, you know, that's just my opinion. So,
yeah, I think what you said is key. It's like you gotta know your child, and I think sometimes. As parents, we can be a little overzealous because we want ideally we want our child to follow in our footsteps if we want to be honest. But it's like when you have a child and it's like, you know, their personality is like, all right, no, this ain't gonna fit. Like, you know, like it's not gonna work. So you just gotta let them figure out what it is that they want and just kind of help push them. And I think that's the key. You know, and even if they tried out everything, like at least you can say they tried out everything and they said they ain't like that. All right, that's fine. But I think it's kind of giving them that space to, you know, like you said, find their self. Like, because at the end of the day, you know, when I'm not here, you still got to live with yourself. You got to live with the decisions that you made. So it's just about empowering them to kind of make the best decision for themselves and allowing them to feed their own passion. And, you know, and if it falls in line with what we like to do, awesome. But, you know, if it don't, you know, you just got to keep it moving.
And that pro aspect of it is that pro aspect of it that you talked about was you know, the key for me, and not only in that light, but in the other light, you know, people kind of using that as a knocking thing. Like, you know, the kid want to go pro, you know, and that's what they aspire to. And if it keep them in the gym and not on the block, you know, let him keep
Absolutely.
trying until he get to that point. Because like I tell people, if you a college athlete, you're gonna learn very quickly, especially depending on where you go and the level, that it's a business, you know, and
Oh
that
yeah,
pro stuff start to feel, you know, depending on what you're doing, it start to feel less and less real, or it might be, you know. But if it keeping them in the gym and off the streets, I'm like, you know, what's the problem? You know?
absolutely. I agree with you 110%. And and even to take it a little bit further, like well, because well, they have way more opportunities. It's so much easier to get a Division I
Oh,
scholarship, and everything is recorded,
highlights.
and yeah, highlight films and offers, and so
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities are there. So I don't never try to discourage. I try to cheer for all the kids, man. I'm for all the kids. I hate to see, you know, the guys that aren't in it for the right reason, or in it for themselves, or like limelight, and try to connect themselves to kids, man. I have relationships with a lot of kids that don't play for me, that I keep private, because it's I don't feel the need to put it on social media. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
No matter, some of them I know they family members. Some of them I've watched them grow up. Some of them I just connected with through a conversation. Someone might have reached out to me and asked me something, or I might ask them something, and it went from there. So I try to, again, like, be mindful that, man, we're helping raise young men.
Mm-hmm.
So I might think something might be on my mind. Well, I need to tell this kid that I like what he's doing. He working like doing. That goes further than you think. When you think about saying it and then you don't say it, I try to deliver those messages, because one, like I said, it could go a long, it could go a lot further than you think. They might
Mm-hmm.
say, "Well, why coach? I don't play for Coach O. Why is he? Why did
Mm-hmm.
he even care?" You know what I'm saying? And then it also, I'm gonna believe in how the universe works. It might be reciprocated. Somebody might do it for mine,
Mm-hmm.
and he might need it. So, you know, it might sound crazy, but the way I think is, you know, man, we got so much talent and so many kids in the city, and you know, sometimes it's hard for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, and you know, I just like to see them, you know, make the most of their opportunities, because now you got so many guys from here that played ball in Baltimore that are coaching somewhere in college, and you know, that's even better for the kids in our city. So,
Mm-hmm. Because it continues to build that
man,
network.
yeah, yeah, exactly, man. So, you know, man, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it, with especially with the coaching, and then, you know, working in the schools, because you know, outside people gonna always have their opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell those people one thing: you're not working. You're not doing any profession working with kids unless you're called to do it, unless it's on your heart to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody's doing that for no money. Not that little bit of money that they paying, or you gotta genuinely love kids and care about kids to work with kids in any setting, in any aspect. You know, so for those people on the outside looking in, you know, I think a lot of people realize that, especially after this pandemic, and they having to deal
Uh-huh.
with their kids more
At
than
home.
usual. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah, it definitely takes a special person and to kind of work with kids on a day-to-day basis, and like and I've said this a lot, like, you know, they don't make teachers like they used to. Whereas, like,
no,
and I know that's a touchy subject, because, you know, many of the teachers that I come in contact with, or, you know, that's not like, I had a principal. She was like 4'2", but she knew how to command the room,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew she
mm-hmm,
cared. And for most of these kids, they need to know that you care, and if they smell it a mile away. Honestly, they know when, all right, this teacher
mm-hmm,
not here for us. They, you know, they just here to get a check. They not really trying to teach us nothing.
mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, if we can kind of get back to that, like, people really wanting to do the work and teach the kids and just kind of be there for them, like, we could you could change a lot more lives. You know, you're not gonna get 100%, but
Right.
you can at least shoot for it. And I think that's where some of the times, you know, we kind of fall short with the teachers. I mean, and you know, and the different dynamics in schools as well. You know, because the way the pandemic has shifted a lot, and you know, the teachers that they're not paid like they should be paid. You know, that's a whole nother story in itself, though.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just want to
man.
big you up, man. I want to big you up because it's so important, you know, for you in the role that you have, and then you're able to go back to where you went to school. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have the opportunity, you know, because I moved away from home. But I mean, you know, coming up in an all black high school with, you know, I don't know why or how, but we had, you know, a white coach that didn't give a damn about none of us. You know what I mean? And you know, whether it was the worst guy or the best guy, you know, like you said, you got to invest in these guys, man. And it's bigger than the sport, you know. So I want to big you up because that's got to be incredible to walk them halls and then come back and be able to give back to people that were sitting in the same seats you were.
Yeah, man. It's some of the best things. Well, the principal that's currently there was an English teacher when I was there,
Wow.
and me and her have a great relationship. The the assistant principal, the third administrator, the athletic director was in school when I was there. The counselor was in school when I was there. So a lot of alumni. Um, if I didn't love where I worked so much with my principal, I would be working there because the principal offered me a job there at City actually. Um,
Oh, okay.
but it's good, man. Some of the best things, like I said, the former players when they call, well, Coach O, can I? When y'all start working out, can we come up? Can we play? Can I?
Mhm.
I have a former player that's getting ready to graduate from Maryland, and his dad started like his own photography thing, and he started following behind his dad, and he recently reached out to me like, Coach O, when y'all start, can I come up help you out, take some pictures, do videos of the game stuff? So and stuff like that, if you know, like you usually have to find somebody to pay
Mm-hmm.
to,
Yep.
but he's one of my own. I would gladly pay him to support him in his, you know what I'm saying? Like, so those, you know, and then I played ball with his dad, went to school with his mom and his dad. So stuff like
Mm.
that, you can't make that up. Like
Nah.
you gotta take that for what it's worth and you know, can encourage and motivate them to do them things, man. Because I'm like, nah, I just coached this kid maybe 5, 6 years ago. So it's those types of stories, and like I said, the relationships and staying connected. You know that makes the good outweigh the bad,
Hmm.
and that'll keep you going on days when you like, man, this getting rough, or it's just, you don't feel like it, because you know you got to take the criticism. Oh, he ain't
Hmm.
doing it, like, because all my days haven't been good days. I've heard, you know, parents that felt like I didn't coach their son the right way. He don't know what he doing, and
Mm-hmm.
why he cut my son, and why, you know, you got to deal with all that too. So you got to have thick skin. But you know, like I tell parents, man, yo, wasn't the best player. I earned my stripes as a basketball player.
Hmm.
I played professionally on some level where I got paid, so I must know something. I said, but most of all, you know, I was chosen to run this program. So
Hmm.
it's I've earned the right to run it the way I want to run it. Whether you ain't gotta accept, you ain't gotta like it, but you know, I get to do it my way. I earned that. So, but it's been definitely been way more good than bad. Um, and you know, sometimes you get situations where, you know, parents that you know, their kids started out somewhere, it wasn't good for them. Oh, can you help me? Can you get them in? Can you? And when those you able to help them, and then they go on, you know, you feel like you really made a difference. So,
Hmm.
man, it's been good for me, man. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, but then when my son entering high school now, it's kind of hard because he's at one high school, I'm at another, and I'm gonna want to see him play. So
Hmm.
I've been tearing myself up about that, what I'm gonna do over these next 4 years. So you know,
Mm.
man, but I mean, it's all good, man. It's like I said, man, it's needed, and it's a lot of guys that are doing it. And I don't, want to be like, oh yeah, I'm one of the ones, or that's not my thing. It's a lot of guys that I'm close with that I know, guys that I'm not, that I respect from afar, that I know that are going above and beyond, and it's about more than basketball and putting in work with the kids, and a lot of guys that don't get the notoriety and don't do it for it. So it's tough, man, but it's definitely it's worth it in the long run, I would say.
All right, I want to thank you, just kind of for sharing your story. I do want to kind of close on I'm gonna close with a couple questions. Who's the better in the household? Are you still giving it to your son, or he kind of getting up there?
He just about, man, the Joker grew about 4 inches on me. He about 6'2" now.
Oh man, oh yeah, you got a problem with your hands.
Yeah, so I'm in shape, but it's about his turn.
Okay.
We have. I'm gonna say this: I can't just get out there and say, "Come on, let me beat up on you." Like, if I don't play, like I won't beat. Like I gotta play him. I gotta really like go in dog mode to beat him.
Gotcha.
So that's where we are right now. So.
I got you. Now, who are the? Now, I might put you in a little hot water right here. Who are the top 5 players to ever come out of Baltimore?
That's tough. That's tough. I've seen a lot of,
and I know, I know you've seen some. I mean, and and I've heard about some good players who people might not never heard of. And I think that's the kicker right there.
No, well, I'm gonna say this to you. I don't want to be long-winded, man.
No, you good. We got some time. I know this question is, it's a little heavy.
Yeah, because because you know why? Because they had these basketball conversations in Baltimore, and a lot of dudes get left out, and then when they get left out, they feel some type of way. and I don't never, because there's so many. But I'm gonna tell you this: the first year I went to Germany, the coach that I played for my first couple months there, he was from DC, but he was originally from DC. So he got me off the plane. He taking me back to the hotel. He saying, "So you from Baltimore, right?" So I said, "Yeah." He said, "So I'm gonna ask you this question. If you never heard of this guy before, then I'm taking you back to the airport and putting you back on the plane." So I said, "Well, so me being like, I got a little offended. I said, man, I'm Baltimore. Like I know my basketball history in my town." So he said, "So you know who Skip Wise is?" I said, "Oh yeah, for certain." So, rewind a little bit. I heard all these stories about Skip Wise. I played for a coach that was good friends with him. Played with him. I had never actually saw him play. So, me and a good friend of mine, Mark Koch, at the time, during this time, was probably the best high school player in the city in my era.
Right. I remember
so
that.
So we used to go to Northwestern. We used to go to Northwestern and play with the older guys, Marty Johnson and Sylvester Banks, like a lot of older guys that were, sort of like grooming us. And so they used to play to 100 by ones.
Hey.
So, me, at that age, me and Mark walking in the gym, and it was like, we were the young pups, but we were trying to prove and trying to make name of ourselves. So at that age, I'm coming into my own. So I shoot the ball pretty well. And I'm like, so this old guy, man, he had to be about 45, 46. And strong, big arms, big hands, big legs. I didn't know who he was, but like, man, he wouldn't miss. We playing, and like every time he touched the ball. So I'm like, that's something I said, Mark, who is this dude that won't miss? Man, Skip Wise. Eyes like big as I said, oh, okay, now I had something to put with all the stories that I heard because he caught my attention. Yeah, so even though I haven't seen, I mean, that was the only time I saw him. From the stories that I heard, it'd be tough not to put him in that conversation. Otherwise, I got to go with guys that I saw and guys that I had a close relationship with, I would say. Sam Cassell was another one because I saw a lot of him. And not only did I see a lot of him, but every time we played or he played with us or he was around, he always would teach you something. He was always the type to pull whoever was the next generation of kids up, and he still does it to this day. So for me, that stuck with me with him. My favorite shooter of all time is Kirk Lee. Love Kirk Lee. Another Dunbar guy. Great character guy too. Just outside of basketball, I call him. We talk. I go down to, he runs the UA house on Fair Street, which most people know. Another favorite of mine. The person that got me watching high school basketball when I first started going, when I really understood the difference between like rec ball, going to high school, and the levels, was Dante Brighton. Oh man, Dante was tough in high school. And another guy that I have a close relationship with that I talk to often, that does a lot of great things with with kids and training and basketball in the city. So I don't think I can limit it to 5, man.
I got you. Well, give me the next one. Give me the next one, because I know you probably could do this all night.
Yeah, I could. Kevin Simpson was another one. Kevin Simpson was at Southern, and he was an animal. He was a monster. And I remember when the number 1 high school player at that time was Felipe Lopez, from New York. He was originally from the Philippines and from New York, and I was often at the playground at 85 with Kevin Simpson a lot in Cotton Square, and just got to be around him, and his aura was like, that's when I learned that Baltimore grit. Like, he was like, I ain't care nothing about him being the number 1 player in the country, and they came down here and they played him and he destroyed them. Like, it was just like, wow, gotta respect him because they say he number 1. So that taught me, like, oh, no, man, we from Baltimore. Like, it's a little different down here. I don't care nothing about him. So I always had respect for him for that, and just how hard he played and how he attacked the game. And like I said, Mark Carter we had a lot of good players in my era, but he was definitely head and shoulders. But again, I could go. I got to shout my brother out, Mo Hatton. Marcus Hatton he was a special talent, and he was good through, I think, a couple of different eras, and he's well respected. So it's again, man, I can show a lot of guys, Shante Rogers, Kevin Norris. Those guys are like big brothers, because a lot of those guys I got to play with when I was younger, and they would allow me to play with them in Little League, play 5 or 10 minutes. And it meant so much to me that they had the confidence in me and encouraged me, and then, like I said, so you hold on to those things, and then now doing it, just trying to give back is great. But it's so, like I said, man, there's so many guys that are coaching or at the college level, training, or that play the game, that's just good character, good quality dude. So again, you're right. I could have.
Yeah, and I know that's kind of tough.
I could have talked about this all night.
Yeah, because I think Baltimore, we have and this is it's a culture of basketball that we breed here that's different from anywhere else that you go, and like we have so many great players that come out of. So I do understand how hard it is. That's why I just want to put you on the hot seat for a little bit, just to kind of put it out there. I mean, because it's so many players that that you could have mentioned, and that's why you do it, because you show the love to everybody. So I definitely appreciate that. Even though I might have put you in a little tough position, I don't want to cause no problem with your friends, man.
No, man, it's all good. They know it's love. Everybody got their favorites for different
Absolutely,
reasons, man. But it's basketball is in this time is a big fraternity. It's definitely big, and the older I get, the more I realize it, the more you feel it, and the more it's good to just reminisce and talk about it. So it's I think it's good, man, because you're gonna get love from certain people. Certain people gonna show other people love, but as long as everybody get their just due somewhere around the board, I think it's great.
Absolutely. I also want to. I see with your shirts that you have that you've been. I saw you've been posting them. So I want you to tell us a little bit about that, and what was the kind of motivation behind that, and then we'll kind of close out after that.
Well, the shirts actually well, it started with me and one of my old college teammates, my brother Arthur Lewis Jr. We that transition from Catonsville to Bowie, man, we spent so much time in the gym and working out and just pushing each other and just chasing some the basketball dream. And so we had a lot of ideas about what to do after we both finished playing professionally. Some financially, some just to try to change the culture or encourage the youth and mentor, just a lot of things. So this came about. He's been saying this to me. It's actually his saying. He's been saying it to me for maybe 2 years now. He obviously, man, love yourself enough to discipline yourself. Like, we work out, we train, and I said, man, we need to put that on the t-shirt. So now that we both are finished in our basketball careers, because he just recently finished, we've been tapping in, spending a lot of more time bouncing our ideas off each other, things we talked about doing for a long time. So this was just one of the, many things that we talked about. So it was something that, he always says, yeah, we're going to get it put on a t-shirt, and we acted on it right away. And two other good childhood friends of his, Darren Watkins and Richard Johnson, who are also former athletes. Richard was a star athlete at Virginia.
Yeah, and Milford. He went to Milford, right?
Yeah, and Milford, and then went to Virginia Tech. So
I remember him.
Those are those are childhood friends of ours. So we kind of like, bro, they want to get on Baltimore. So with me, it was just so my mind, with me, I just was looking like, all right, well, let's go, black shirts, white shirts, then high schools. But the message from the shirt, Arthur has his own meaning that he can, tap into it. For me, man, it's something that I think everybody struggles with, and we all it's just continuous work. But for me, man, like you, it's one person that you in a relationship with that you got to forgive every day. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you do, and that's that person you look at in the mirror. So you got to love yourself enough to not only discipline yourself, forgive yourself, get up when you don't feel like it, keep moving. So just be hard on yourself some of the time. Just put some some things in order, and you discipline. The more you discipline yourself, the better off you'll be in any aspect. Whether you're working out, your job, you're trying to lose weight, whatever the case may be. So a lot of people have taken notice to it and asked about it. The shirts have been moving good. So it's been a good thing so far.
Gotcha. So thank you. I appreciate you for sharing that and just kind of, continue to push that positive image and that the relationship building that you have with your colleagues, the ones you play basketball with, that y'all been doing this for years. So definitely thank you and appreciate for all that you do with kind of pouring back into our youth, because we understand that that's probably one of the most important jobs in this day and age, and is definitely needed, because they are experiencing things that we ain't really had to experience. They have access to so much more than we have access to.
Yes,
so
sir.
So it's just a matter of
yes, indeed.
Continue to be consistent and continue to show them that love and build that relationship. So I just want to thank you again, just for sharing your story and sharing that with us.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. I definitely appreciate it. Thank y'all so much, man.
No problem. So once again, this is Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and systems. Make sure you follow us on all social media outlets. Stay tuned for all that we have going on with Unapologetically Black Male. And, thank you to my co-host, Brother EJ Stewart. Thank you to our sponsors, J Pope and Associate. And thank you to Brother Omarr Smith for sharing his story and sharing, his light and how he impacts the world and, in his way. So look forward to